Hi there. I am going to be talking to you about classical conditioning. Most of the classical conditioning is Ivan Pavlov's. He is an early 20th century Russian sociologist, and he studied the role of salvation in dogs. So classical conditioning consists of associating an initially neutral stimulus with a meaningful stimulus. So the experiment that he did demonstrated the existence of classical conditioning with the association of the bell with food in dogs. He would ring a bell, and then he would give the dogs food, and then over time he would check the salivation meters that he had on the dogs. And he later found out that when you ring the bell, they did salivate, but however they salivated more once they received the food. So he introduced the two stimulus, which was the bell and the food, and then he did get the association between the two in the end. Classical conditioning is divided into four main components. There's unconditional stimulus, the unconditional response, a conditioned stimulus, and a conditioned response. So what the unconditioned stimulus is that it already has a significant meaning and it is meaningful enough for the subject. So in Pavlov's experiment with the dogs, the unconditioned stimulus was the food. And then the unconditioned response is the subject's response in the presence of the unconditioned stimulus. So in Pavlov's experiment with the dogs, the unconditioned response was salivation when the dog saw the food. The conditioned stimulus is initially it's a neutral stimulus. It doesn't generate any significant response in the subject on its own, but the conditioned stimulus was the sound of the bell. And the conditioned response is the response after introducing the conditioned stimulus, which in Pavlov's experiment, it was the dog salivating when they heard the sound of the food. And they also have information on how humans react to this too, which is very similar to how the dogs react, which I found very interesting, that the two we're so much alike with how we respond. And that's all I got. Have a good one.